Okay, 1 second. I'm launching things. All right, well, let's doing launching things. All right, everybody, welcome. In just a moment, when this gets to work, I'm going to share my screen with you. But in the meanwhile, if everyone can mute themselves, that would be great. Thank you, even though I love the sound of the birds. So today we are here to talk about shifting from anxiety to action. And I want to give you a little bit about my background and the background of how this came about, and then we're going to dive into those steps. So, all right. I'm just going to look. There we go. Okay, sorry. There we go. I was confused. Now I've got it. All right. So let me talk to you about my background. I'm going to share my screen with you. I'll probably be going in and out of that a little bit. And because I mostly want to, oops, that is not the right course. Awesome. There we go. All right. I thought I had it all together here, but this is what anxiety does to a person, right? Just when you think you have it together. So I am a transformational coach. I've been coaching people for over 20 years. And I decided to really make that my business. And then coronavirus hit. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I can say that for me, I'm a very optimistic person. I tend to be in a good space a lot of the time, and I could hardly get out of bed. I didn't know what to do. Yeah, if that was your experience, if any of you had some of that experience, you can like do twinkle fingers as sort of a sign of understanding. So, it was, for someone who tends to be pretty optimistic, it was a really big sort of shock and change for me in a way to be coming from that place. And so one of the things that I tend to do is I like to meditate. And so I decided to really start meditating on it. And as I was meditating, I realized that there was a lot that I could do and a lot that I could shift. And I literally sort of thought of this 5-step process that I'm going to share with you today. And I started applying it in my life and finding it to be incredibly powerful. So I've been following this for about 6 weeks now. It's really been helpful to me. And that is why I want to share it with all of you. So my goal as a transformational coach is to help you take life's day-to-day challenges and shift how you experience them so you can be in a much more place of joy in your life. And that when we understand ourselves, we can relate to ourselves and to other people much more powerfully. So that's what my goal as a coach is, and that's what I'm hoping to have you experience today. So, all right. Let's see if I can somehow get it to share correctly. And for some reason, I cannot. So I have no idea why this is happening to me. It worked perfectly fine before. Ah, here we go. Hooray. All right. All right. There we go. All right. So you've already heard about part about me. I've been coaching for a long time. I'm married. I've got 3 teenagers at home. I have a very extensive corporate background and also a very extensive coaching background. And here's some of the many certifications I've gotten. So let's talk about the 5-step process. And so the first step is to feel your feelings. We'll obviously go into each of these. The second one is to shift your feelings. The third is to enhance your gratitude. The fourth is to set your intentions. And the 5 is to choose committed action. So we're going to dive right in to step one and feel your feelings. Now, in my experience, that is actually an incredibly unusual thing. Most people do not feel their feelings. And particularly when anxiety comes up, often the last thing that we want to do is to feel our feelings. So when I talk about feeling your feelings, I'm not just talking about going, oh, I feel anxious, and then zipping it off. And that's what a lot of us do, right? We might feel it and then we'll go off and do something to distract ourselves. Some people do healthier distractions like exercise. Some people do less healthy distractions like video games. But we often don't want to actually sit in the discomfort of our feelings. But if we don't sit in those feelings, if we don't sit in our own discomfort, we actually can never get through them. I think about it like you're standing at the edge of a dark tunnel, and to go through it is the only way to get to some place that's more filled with light, but you stay at the edge of the dark tunnel instead, because that is the experience a lot of people have around their feelings, is that it's so uncomfortable, it's so scary to go in, that they would rather just stay on the edge, which is also not so good. And that when we let ourselves go into our feelings, we can get to the other side. So let me give you an example. Yesterday, as I was thinking about doing this, I was feeling some anxiety. And as I was taking a walk, I said, okay, I have to use this process that I advocate. And so I really took some time to say, okay, well, what am I anxious about? What if no one shows up? Okay, well, that could happen. That's not terrible. Okay, what if they show up and I don't do a good job? What if and I just kept going into like really connecting to myself and what are all of the fears and anxieties that I had. Once I had all of those, then I was able to look at what's the best possible outcome. What's the best thing that could happen? But until I really let myself feel my worries and my fears, I wasn't able to move beyond them. So the first and most important step is to give yourself the time, the space, the self-respect to actually feel your feelings. And I think about it in layers. Like there's your initial feeling, but then what's beneath that? And what's beneath that? And what's beneath that? And when we give ourselves the honor of that time, and for many people, journaling is very helpful. So if you're a journaler, I would absolutely encourage it. But when you really give yourself the time and space to feel your feelings, that's what helps you then get ready to move beyond them. So what I'm going to do, did I set this up? So I tried to set this up so we could break into small groups, but somehow I'm not sure what happened. So we won't be able to break into small groups, but I would like this to be participative. So, so the next step is going to be,
You're muted, Linda.
Linda, we might have lost your voice. Linda?
Linda, I think you had your video through one account and your audio coming through a different account. And I think you just logged off one of your accounts.
Linda, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself. So
Okay.
now I'm going to unmute myself. So hold on.
I mean, we can hear you now.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay. I swear, this is my darkest fears that come out, right?
Linda, I'm feeling
All
so
right.
much better already.
You feel much better already. Excellent.
I
So,
do. Thank you.
so, all right. So we know that step one is feel your feelings. And I don't even want to go through all the feelings that I have of the fact that I can't break you into small groups, even though I tried to figure that out ahead of time.
But Linda, what a perfect opportunity to demonstrate in real time how it feels.
I will. So one of the things, actually, thank you, Peter, because one of the things I really believe is helpful, and this part of step two, is to feel where in your body you actually feel anxiety. So for me, it goes straight to my stomach. So when I feel anxiety, when things aren't going just right, I'm like, oh, right in my stomach. So I'm just curious for you guys, and feel free to unmute yourselves. Where in your body, when you think about anxiety, for some people it might be their chest, it might be their stomach, it might be their throat. Where do you guys feel anxiety?
This is Peter. For me, it's all in my like collarbones and upper chest and throat area. But then sometimes I'll get like almost shooting down my back, shoulders part.
Great, great observation. Who else? Where else do you feel it in your body when you feel
Hi,
anxiety?
it's Suhadi.
Hi, sweetie.
I feel it in my back. It's like literally knives in my back. And if I just move a certain way, forget it.
Powerful.
Mm.
How about one more? Where else do you feel anxiety in your body?
This is Marianne.
Oh, go ahead,
sorry.
Marianne. Go ahead.
Maybe two of us. For me, it's interesting because I don't really feel it any one place. But I still experience it, but I don't physically feel it.
Well, you know what's interesting, Marianne, I bet you're not alone in that answer. And my guess is that actually if you started to pay attention to it, you would start to notice it. That's my experience of a lot of people. They actually don't even realize that there are certain places until they pay attention. Then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I never realized, like my right hip kills me every time I'm anxious, or, I feel like I'm joking. So, so I would just encourage you to just start noticing and
Okay.
see if something comes up.
Thanks.
Mindy, did you want to share where you feel it?
Usually it starts in my chest and then goes down into my stomach. So I feel kind of both. And then definitely it manifests itself in my sleep.
Yeah. Well, and that's, absolutely. And for a lot of people, in fact, in the exercise I do in the online, my website version, we talk about when in the day do you tend to feel anxiety. So I know that when I'm really at my heightened anxiety, it's 3 or 4 in the morning. When I'm not in that place, I'm sort of at the next level down. It's usually upon waking. And then once I get going with my day, I feel a little bit better, but everyone's different. So it's good to even notice, like, when in the day do you tend to feel that anxiety? All right. So once you have honored yourself with the time to really feel your feelings, and I want to say that for some people, that is not easy. And as a coach, that's one of the things that I help people with, is to actually help uncover and identify their feelings, because it can be an easy place for some people to go, and it can be a hard place for some people to go. And even some people who maybe are comfortable sharing their feelings in some circumstances, other things can make it hard. So don't feel like you have to do it alone, whether it's with me or with someone else. Sometimes it just helps to have some support to really feel safe in going into your feelings. So that's step 1. Step 2 is, once you've felt your feelings, it's not that I want you to stay there forever, right? I think it's important to feel those challenging feelings, but you don't want to live in them forever. And actually what happens is when we don't feel them, when we skim through them, that's actually when they stick with us longer. So when we've let ourselves feel them, we've gone through that dark cave, we want to get to the other side. There are many, many ways that people can shift their feelings. One of my personal favorites is meditation. And I personally like guided meditation, because if I'm just in my own head, it's not always a pretty scene. So I listen to a lot of different, YouTube is my friend, and I've been listening to Deepak Chopra quite a bit. And just 15 minutes of meditation can completely shift how I feel. So that's just one that works for me, but there are many other ones. For some people, movement is a great way to shift their feelings. So whether it's walking or hiking, or, you may find that just shifting your body. So we talked about where in your body do you hold your anxiety. Some people, just by moving, by shifting their bodies, actually feel better. They actually did a study that said a lot of people feel like they smile because they're happy, but actually when we smile, we often feel happier. So sometimes our bodies lead the way, And when we shift our bodies, we shift our emotions. Music is a great way for a lot of people to feel different. You turn on a happy song and all of a sudden you feel happier. Some people like to be creative and do artwork. Nature is a fantastic way for a lot of people. And now it's spring here in New England, so getting out in nature and having some outdoor time can be a really powerful way to shift your feelings. How many of you find nature? Raise your hand if you find nature is a really helpful way for you to shift your feelings. Awesome. And how about pets? Does anyone have like a cat or a dog or you know, I don't think fish really helps so much, although maybe meditative, very meditative, but you know, just spending time with a pet or taking a walk, all of those things can help us shift out of some of that anxiety. So once you really let yourself feel it, you want to find something that works for you to shift it. And I want to teach you right now a couple of quick techniques that I like, because I tend to work on energy, and I know that the language might not speak to all of you, chakras and Reiki and all that kind of stuff, but even if those words don't mean anything to you, you can still experience shifts in your energy. So when you think about your energy when you're feeling anxious, does it feel low or does it feel high? So just so that you can show me with your hands, like, is your anxiety a low anxiety or do you feel high? Some people are like, so that high anxiety. Okay. So, so when we feel from an energetic standpoint, when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling guilty, shameful, sad, angry, like those are all what I would call lower vibration feelings, right? They don't tend to feel that good in our bodies. When we feel gratitude and love and joy and peace, right? Those are things that just feel better to us. Those are what we call higher vibration. So we want to sometimes just get rid of those low level energies. So I want you to, if you have a place in your body that you felt some of that anxiety, put your hands there. And if you didn't, just pick a spot, any spot. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm right here in my stomach. But I'll show you on my throat because that's another fabulous place where I get anxiety sometimes. So putting your hands on wherever it is in your body and really imagine this beautiful light coming in and like shifting it out. So I literally will say, okay, I'm asking, take this anxiety and just release it out. So just imagine, take it, breathing in this light that just helps you release it out. And you can do that with your hands, like just pulling it out or pushing it out, and imagine just releasing out any stuck energy in your body. Great. And another thing that can help is actually bringing in, I love bringing in white or golden light, but some people like also different colors. I mean, all the colors are great. So if you even picture, maybe you feel like, oh, I just feel like I need some green energy or purple or white. If you don't know anything, pick white. And just imagine for a moment that it's a cleaning. It's almost like a cleaning light that's going to come in and clear out and clean out any of that anxiety. So you're just calling in the beauty, the love, the light, and letting it flow through you and shift your energy. Okay, so so those are some of the ways. So what I would love to do is hear from you guys. What are some of the ways that work for you? What are some things that really help you shift when you're feeling anxious? What works for you? So a lot of you raised your hand with nature, but what are some of your favorite techniques?
It's Suhadi again. I
Yeah.
just recently started listening to the sound bowls. Actually, we were just introduced to it on another call the other day. I think it was Laura.
Yeah.
And yesterday, I remember feeling super, super anxious. And I remember she'd said something along the lines of getting rid of the low vibration and how the sound bowl will help that because it's a higher vibration. So I plugged in my headphones. I probably listened for 10 minutes and I felt absolutely amazing. It literally got rid of my headache.
Amazing.
And I
Yeah, so if you
never-
guys don't know, there's these beautiful crystal bowls that can be played, and you can actually listen to them on YouTube. You can look up crystal bowls, and the vibration of them can absolutely powerfully shift you very easily. So thank you. Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful way. What else have you noticed works for you to help you, Mary?
When I get really stressed out and anxious about something, I love to go for a walk and have a really deep hearted talk with myself. And so that I can figure out how I feel and talk back to myself and then put things in their place and include some deep breathing. And then when I come back, it's like I've cleared the air. I've had a clearing conversation with myself.
Perfect. And that really embodies both of those first two steps, right? Because you're giving yourself that time to feel your feelings. And through you, and as you're walking and talking to yourself, and you're also clearing them. So it's a beautiful, beautiful practice. Carrie, did you have one?
Oh, I have yoga that I do. I find that that works really well for me. It clears my mind because sometimes I can sort of think through it as I'm going through postures. But it also, from a physical standpoint, kind of feels a little bit like a massage or something. So it's both mental and physical for me. That feels really good, and it releases anxiety. For me, though, sometimes anxiety, I get so caught up in it that I don't go for the walk. I don't go practice yoga. I get stuck. I stop meditating. And I really get debilitated by it. Sometimes it just takes a big push to get to these things.
Yeah.
And as you know, I go and eat. That's dead.
And that's a really common thing. There's lots of things that we do when we're struggling with anxiety, and eating. It's one of my personal favorites as well. So yeah, great. And yoga, that's also one of the things I love to do. And I always laugh because I do yoga and then I feel better, and then the next day I don't do it. And I'm like, what? Why do we do these things to ourselves when we know better? Okay, great. So we've talked about the first two steps. So the first step, feel your feelings. Really let yourself dive deep. And the second step is to shift your feelings. Find something that helps you get out of them and shift them. The third step is to really focus on gratitude. Now, you guys have probably heard this in other places maybe, but remember we talked about those different vibrations, right? The sort of shame and guilt and fear and anxiety. And then we have love and gratitude. Gratitude is a very high vibration. And when we're in a place of gratitude, it actually helps bring us up. Now, one of the challenges that I have found, I don't know about you guys, is that it's easy to do gratitude by rote. So you're like, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for, but I'm not feeling it when I'm saying those things. I'm listing them. And listing things that you're grateful for is not the same as being grateful. Does that make sense to you guys? Like there's these things that we should be grateful for, and we kind of are, we truly are, but it becomes so like every day I list my gratitudes and there's not a meaning to it anymore. So one of the techniques that I learned recently that has helped me with that is to actually list the why. So in other words, I'm grateful for my family. Well, why? Because we actually have a lot of fun together at dinner. Like we laugh, and I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the safety and comfort that I feel. So can you feel how when I start to look at the why behind what I'm grateful for, it deepens it. Now I'm connected to it emotionally. I'm not just listing it. So I really want to encourage you to take that time to be grateful because, again, I mean, especially now, but honestly, it's true. Coronavirus or not coronavirus, gratitude is a good practice. And I believe right now we're in a time where it's easy to get caught. There's what we call the collective consciousness. right? You can literally be in a good place by yourself and feel the anxiety in the air. And for those of us who are very sensitive, you know, even if it's not your own anxiety, you might feel it. So it's so important that we let ourselves be in that place of gratitude, looking at the gifts and the possibilities. Otherwise, we can get caught in not only our own anxiety, but really the collective anxiety. So as you think about this time period and some of the things that you're grateful for and some of the gifts, I would love to hear from a few of you, maybe some people who haven't shared yet, because there's some wonderful people that I know on this call. I'm looking at you, Penny, and you, Mary, and some people who I've known for a long time. And I would just love to hear from some of you, it doesn't have to be the two of you, about what are some of the things that you're grateful for. So before you share, just take that moment and go in. And really think about, again, not only some things that you're grateful for, but why are those meaningful to you? What about those are you grateful for?
This is Mary Grimes Finley. I appreciated what you said about, you know, adding the why in. I remember attending a happiness seminar, and she talked about writing down 3 things every night that you're grateful for. Well, it's very easy to do that, but adding the why takes it to a whole different level. So my thing that I'm most grateful for is my family. I have 2 adult children and an adult grandson. And just the way they love me makes me feel extremely special. And I didn't have that kind of relationship with my mom. So to know that I've been able to, in my own right and way, create that type of environment where there's not a day that goes by that I'm not connected to my children, either early in my adult children who live in different places, either early in the morning or late at night. They're checking in with me, and we have these 2- and 3-way conversations that are just breathtaking. So I'm grateful for them, and that's one of the things I'm grateful for. So thank you for adding the why in, because that takes it to, again, a whole new level.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mary. That's beautiful, beautiful sharing. And exactly, like that's the thing, is my experience too of gratitude is it can just become this list. And again, that's better than nothing, right? Not bad, but it doesn't have that same draw and that same power. Penny, I see you unmuted. So are you willing to share?
Yes, sorry, I realized I couldn't speak through these headphones. Yeah, I feel like, well, one thing I'm grateful for in this pandemic is people, or just me, I will speak only to me, but just deeper awareness of how lucky we all are and how many things we have always taken for granted. And I feel like, so, you know, that I'm grateful for that, even though, you know, the pandemic has been, you know, a horrific thing. I really feel like it's making me super aware of what I have. And it's making me just more conscious of how I live. It's like clearing away all the crap and just focusing on what's really, really important.
Yeah,
You know,
really poor.
and nothing like a crisis to give you clarity, but you know, gratitude seems easier to do for me now because you know, the stakes are higher. So yeah.
Great. Thank you. And I think what you're really speaking to is that there are gifts within the pandemic, and that it's important not to feel like we should, you know, because of course we know that people are suffering. And I mean, my aunt died. I mean, people are dying and suffering, and we have obviously tons of empathy for that. And it could have, I don't know if any of you have experienced COVID-19, but we still get to also be happy about the gifts, right? Like, I think it's important not to get so caught up in the suffering that we forget that this is also a beautiful time, and that it is a sense of balance, and also a truth that within the challenges, there's also gifts. And gratitude is one of the ways that we can really access and know what we're getting from it. And I believe from a universe standpoint, from a, that it is to our benefit and to the benefit of all to also focus on what's working. So, so great. So that was step 3. So we had feel your feelings was step 1, shift your feelings was step 2, and then really enhancing your gratitude was step 3. So you guys ready for step 4? You all excited?
Mhm.
So step 4 is setting your intention. So what do I mean by that? Setting your intention is about deciding what you want to experience in your day or in your week. So I very often set my intention for joy, because that's one of my faves. And so when I set my intention, I'm like, okay, how am I actually feeling? What would it be like to step into joy? I'm doing whatever I'm doing that day. I'm seeing a client. I'm gonna, make dinner, whatever I'm doing. Like, how do I do it joyfully? One of my favorite examples, because this is a true affects my life every day kind of thing, is around doing the dishes. Because even before that, I have 3 kids and a husband and myself, and there's always dishes. Like, it's amazing. So no matter how often they get done, somehow there they are again. So I have a choice every day about how my intention that I'm going to set around doing the dishes. So some options I have are, 1, being resentful. I've tried it. It's a classic. I can be resentful. I can be angry. I can be, it's all kinds of things. But I also have the choice to be joyful. If joyful is my intention with my day, I get to apply it no matter what. So I can be doing the dishes and having it as my moving meditation. I can be doing the dishes and thinking how lucky I am to have a sink and running water. I can be in that place of gratitude. I have enough dishes that even when some are dirty, we still have some to eat from. I mean, there are so many ways I could be in gratitude. I can play music and be dancing while I do the dishes, right? I have all of those choices, and you guys could probably come up with a dozen more things that I could do while I'm doing the dishes, so that it's a joyful experience instead of a drag. So really intentionally thinking about, what do I want my day to be like? So that it isn't just happening, you're actually setting the pathway. And I really believe that when we set the pathway, we get that's often what shows up for us. There's a lot of, it's funny, I mean, coincidentally, but I was reading The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer just this morning. I was reading about that book, and he really talks about how our thoughts create our reality. So when we think something, and I've done a little research actually on brain science, and what they found is that when you think a thought over and over, it creates a pathway in the brain. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but in case you don't know, there's these little gaps called synaptic gaps in our brain. So when the electrical impulses go through our brain, it has to jump over a little gap. And when we think a thought over and over, the gap actually gets closer. What does that mean? That means the more you think a thought, the more likely you are to think it again. So if you think this sucks, once, no big deal. It's not going to affect your brain that much. But if you think it over and over and over, you will actually be creating like a super highway in your brain, so that that's your automatic thought. So you want to notice, like, are my thoughts working for me? Are these things that feel like the truth, are only feel like the truth because you've thought them so many times? And if they're not working for you, you get to create a different superhighway in your brain. So many of us are hard on ourselves, are very judgmental of ourselves. Anyone like that? Anyone look in the mirror and go, oh, right? I can't believe I still have it. And so from that place, we are literally brainwashing ourselves with negativity. So what would it be like to instead brainwash yourself with positivity about all of the amazing things that you do? I was recently in a conversation with someone and she said, tell me what you have to celebrate since the last we talked. And I named like 3 things. And she's like, great, what else? Okay, I named a few more things. What else? It was hard. It actually got hard to keep naming things to celebrate. And she said, my goal is to have you get to a place where you're celebrating every moment of your life, where you're feeling worthy of celebrating all that you do. I'm like, wow, I have a ways to go. And I get to make progress. So I want to just have you take a moment now, just a moment. That's all it takes to say, what's your intention? Okay. It's like lunchtime around here. I know people are in different places, but for the rest of the day, what would you like to experience? What ways of being? How would you like to have your day go? I would love to hear from a few people. So Kira, are you willing to share? Can I call on you?
Me? Yes. Let's see. You know, it's just that flow. Don't you want your day just to flow with ease from one to another, whether it's a chore or something to celebrate or, you know, doing mundane projects or work.
Right.
And to be able to have that flow from one to the other is how I'd like the rest of my day to go. Just
Great.
with
Great.
ease.
And you know, when we set flow in motion, right, then one of the things you want to do, and this is true of whatever your intentions are, is to start noticing where it shows up. So you said, okay, I want my day in flow, and then just notice, like, whether it's a little thing or a big thing, how it shows up. All right, Kira, do you want to go?
Yeah, well, that was like a hard question because I hadn't thought about that. But I think one thing I want more during quarantine is intentionality. I find myself doing a lot of sitting down at the computer and then just like wasting time or just, you know, not knowing, like sitting there and being like, what do I want to do next? And I feel like I would much rather be in a place where I know what my goals are maybe for the day or just, you know, things I want to do, but also like what I want to do for fun so that when I decide I'm not trying to be productive, then I also can make choices that will be really nice and helpful for me and for my mental health when I have that break.
Great. And fun is, you know, fun can be a great goal. Like, and then how do you have fun with all different parts of your day? Right? The ones that are a break, but also the ones that aren't a break, that are just things you have to do. Why not have fun with them? So, so flow is beautiful, fun, joy, you know, there's so many different things, but what the power for you guys and the power for me is to actually make a choice and be conscious of the decision and then create it for yourself. Ask for it, create it, notice it. When we set our intention and then we notice it showing up, that really reinforces it. And again, whether you're doing the dishes or sitting in front of the computer, if you're not experiencing the thing that is in your intention, you can always go back to step 2 and shift your feelings. Go, maybe I need a break. You can always enhance your gratitude again. And then you can come back to, okay, how am I in my intention? Okay, we only have a few more minutes and we are ready for step 5. So step 5 is to choose committed action, because this is from anxiety to action. So you can imagine that the 5th step is action. So when we set our intention, we really also get to say, well, how do I want that to show up? So I kind of already alluded to this part in a way where I might say, okay, the action that I want to take is to, you know, just think about your day. What do you want to get done? So this kind of speaks to you, Kira. What do you really want to accomplish? What are the actions that you want to take so that you'll be experiencing the experience that you want to have? So whether it's joy, whether it's flow, whether it's love, whether it's fun or anything else, to start looking at what is one step that you can take. Even one step, even if it's not your whole day, I believe, let's see if I have a good quote to end this. All right, hold on, I'm gonna shift down to my quote. Where's my quote? Oh, okay. So that intention plus action equals magic. That when we set our intention and then we take action towards it, that is where the magic happens. That's where the shift and the transformation happens. So step 5 is really making a choice to take some committed action. Now that could be, you want to have some fun, and so you reach out to a friend. That could be you want to have joy, and so I go put on a great song and dance, right? That could be you want to have flow, and so you look at your day and you just give yourself pause time between activities because your experience is that helps you with flow, right? There's all kinds of things that you can do, but I really want to encourage you to just take a moment now and think about, for today, what is one committed action that you want to take? So who has a committed action that they want to share? Maybe someone I haven't heard from. Bill, can I call on you? You have to unmute yourself though, or I can unmute you.
I guess
So
you can call on me. I have a good answer, but you can always call on me. So committed action for today.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure it out because I've got several meetings this afternoon, but I do need to go for a walk. So I don't know if that's really a committed action.
It absolutely is. Taking a walk is committed action. And so often that's like we put it on the back burner and then the day happens and you don't take the walk. At least that's my experience.
Yeah, and that's what I've done all week. And
yeah,
I want to walk like at least 3 times a week, at least an hour or so. And those get left off.
Right.
A lot of times. So I need to work on trying to fit that in more frequently.
Great. Perfect. So that's a great example of committed action. And again, when we make that commitment to ourselves, we also get to follow it through, right? Our commitments to ourselves are as important as our commitments to other people. But I know that's something I fall into, where my commitments to everyone else seem to come before my commitments to myself.
Right.
How about one more? Who's willing to share a committed action? Julie.
I'm gonna try to connect with my girlfriends. I feel like sometimes the last few days I've been really busy with work and school. So I'm just gonna really try to connect with people, make that connection. Yeah.
Great. Great. So can you see how just simple things can make a big difference? When I talk about committed action, I'm not talking about building a bridge across a wide river. The little things that we do add up. They make a difference, and they help us to stay in a sense of power instead of powerless. And so just to wrap it up. All right, so just as a reminder, we have the 5 steps. So first, you take the time to feel your feelings. Again, not just the initial, oh, I'm anxious, but let yourself go down into those layers. What's underneath that? What's really happening? Am I feeling worried about the future? Is my anxiety actually about today or something else? Anxiety can be about the past, the present, or the future. So just start to notice, where do you tend to go in terms of anxiety, and feel your feelings. Once you've given yourself that time through walk and talk, through talking to somebody else, through journaling, then you want to find ways that shift your feelings. So out in nature, listening to music, meditating, yoga, whatever works for you, and mix it up, try different things. Once you've started to come out of that initial anxiety by shifting, you get to enhance your gratitude. And really take those moments to look at not only what are you grateful for, but why. You set your intentions, and then you choose and do committed action. So those are the 5 steps. So those steps make sense to you guys? Is that just nod your head if those are worth a try? I have been finding them very helpful. That's what I can say. So if anybody is interested, I do free sessions for people, a free initial session just to help you even talk through a situation, help you get some clarity, help you release some of your anxiety. So if that is of interest to you, it would be my honor to work and serve any of you. This is my website, is innerclarity.biz. You can email me, linda@innerclarity.biz, or lindawellmanning@gmail.com if that's what you have. That's also works. And I would love to support you, and if that would be helpful. So last second, in my Deepak Chopra meditation this morning, I just happened to turn on one that was about anxiety. And so the mantra that he had was, I move through my days lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. So you may want to stand mute because it's hard when lots of people speak at the same time, but I want to encourage you to actually say it where you are and say it 3 times. So say it with me if you can. I move through my days lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. I move through my days lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. I move through my days lighthearted and carefree, knowing all is well. All right. So it is 1 o'clock. It has been an honor and a privilege and so much fun. I'm grateful to each and every one of you for coming here, for participating. And I hope that you find this process really helpful. And if there's anything more I can do to support you, absolutely reach out. So if this was helpful, twinkle fingers. And I would love to have more conversations with all of you. So thank you so much, and have a wonderful, intentional, powerful afternoon.
Thank you so much, Linda. That was fabulous.
It really was.
Thank
you.
Great, Linda. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. That was
Have a great
great.
day.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
That
good
was
to see you guys. Good to see you, Penny. Hello, Miss Amy, who didn't even speak up.
Love you lots. Goodbye, Linda.